Now we're rich for the next round, but something tells me it's not going to be that. Newzera still doesn't have a gun, man.
Oh,
He still doesn't have a gun.
That's
Nats has a
side.
freaking Phantom.
Newzera to clutch. No, he's to the
Oh, it's all 5-head! It's all 5-head! Oh, yes!
God, no
Yeah!
way. Kill at the end, man. I'm losing it. I'm actually losing it.
No way.
So today, we're gonna take a look at one of the most tragic, hilarious, amazing, stupid games of Valorant that has probably ever been played and might ever be played. And we'll begin with what perhaps is the stupidest round of them all. Because of course I'm talking about Karmine Corp against Team Liquid. And we have to start with round number 14. Because in round number 14, the round is about to start. And you might see that Newzera here is sitting in spawn. Now, as this round plays out and he begins to move a good, what, 7, 8, 9, 10, still not moving. You know, he starts to move about this point here. Scream has already died at this point. He's just died here in mid. Newzera is just moving now at this 127 mark. His team has won the pistol, but he has not bought because he was AFK in a pro game. How does that happen? Well, the scoreboard might give a bit of a clue. Team Liquid were 12-0 up. Karmine managed to win a round, and Newzera celebrated so hard he took off his headphones and earphones and had to put them back in. And that's why he was late for this round. And yeah, that is basically how this happened. But what's amazing about this is, yes, they actually end up going 1-for-1. We end up in a 4v4. You could not write a script for this round any better. There's no analysis that we need to do of this round. This round does not deserve analysis because it is truly just off the rails bizarre. It is just unbelievable that this happened. And Newzera, you can see here, still doesn't have a gun, just has his classic in this second round. And yeah, this is just going to end up being super, super funny. And when Team Liquid started to come towards this A site and XMS got those 2 kills, I was like, okay, the round's over. Newzera isn't going to get punished for it. But then that happened and we ended up in a 2v2 and Nats picked up a Phantom. And not only did Nats pick up a Phantom, he was then able to get that kill. But of course, Newzera somehow managed to get the right-click classic. Didn't need a gun at all, and they would win that round. But now let's come to the first half of this game and actually analyze what went so horribly wrong for Karmine Corp. At the start off, let's come to round number 3. Now, here's one thing that I just didn't really understand, which was Karmine Corp's default. Okay, you can see here that our Cypher is in mid. And they're going for a 1-3-1, and that's all perfectly normal. But the breach is out here towards B main, and the Cypher is in mid. That's not something you would normally see. You would expect to see the breach over here in mid, probably the Cypher over towards A, and actually the Astra towards B. That's kind of the normal, you know, look for this and whatnot. But that's not what Karmine Corp were doing. But this third round, right, it's the bonus round for Team Liquid, so they have slightly better weapons overall than Team Liquid, and it couldn't have started off any better for them. They get that first kill just there, right? Absolutely perfect. They come out towards mid. They come and take some of this mid control. Okay, yeah, I still find it a bit weird that the Cypher is out here, but okay, well, you know, whatever. And so it's, you know, all going fine for them. Team Liquid actually then go for kind of an interesting idea. They put this wall up, but actually keep the Sage ahead of the wall, right? A bit of a risky, like, nice idea here from them. But guess what? XMS is actually going to see Soulcast there and actually get that kill as well. Okay, we're in a 5v3. They've taken mid control. They've punished the aggression both in A main and B main. You'd think there would be no way that they could lose this round. But of course, that does happen. Okay, one advantage of having the Cypher here, I guess, is that they do get to put their own kind of trip down here in vents, you know, to kind of cover their back, which, yeah, okay, sure, that's not a bad idea. And Team Liquid, they come up into B Heaven, you can see just here, and they get this control. And now we see this Sky Flash come out. And I believe, or at least I have to believe, that someone hears or sees this flash, right? That this breach might have seen it, that these guys might have heard it, that they know that a flash is there, that they know that someone is in this general vicinity, right? Because of that Sky Flash just there, they know that the sky is there. And they're just going to come and do a B split, and there's nothing wrong with that. The idea is perfectly fine. But it all just starts falling to pieces in just a second. So these guys start to come in onto the site. The Dizzy actually just start to beep there, but it doesn't actually flash because it doesn't get enough of the sight of of the Cypher here. They go for this stun, but this stun misses out on Jamppi, and this is something that I don't fully understand, that it's kind of like a complete in-between, right? You'd either think, be here with your Astra and just stun across there and understand that it isn't going to stun that, or, you know, if you want to make sure that you're getting it right, don't go halfway back. You know, you got to come all the way back if you actually want to properly stun them. So it's kind of just like a half and half, and so it doesn't stun Jamppi, and so XMS runs in and dies. And okay, there's still enough 4v3. You know, these guys are coming behind. They've taken the site. Newzera's job now, as he has the spike, there's 44 seconds left. Actually, this is one of the few times in this attacking half that the time wasn't a pressure for Karmine Corp, right? They've got more than enough time here with 44 seconds. Newzera's job now is just to not die, right? Wait for these guys to come back, you know, to clear the rest of the site, come back and pinch on these guys together as a team, and, you know, you'll probably be fine. You'll probably win the round. So what happens instead? Okay, he sends out the Aftershock. He sends out this first flash. Looks like he tries to, you know, wants to try and swing on that first flash. Sends out a second flash, and he's delaying, and that's fine, right? And Shin is, you know, kind of getting close to where, you know, he might be able to get this angle and might be able to get this kill. But then he decides to swing and dies. And so now they lose the spike, and now they are in a terrible position, right? Because they have to go and get the spike back. And now the time is a problem that you've lost the spike just here. And so these three try and, you know, come back towards B main and try and get this out. But again, we're going to see discoordination where in just a second, Newzera is going to be putting his cam out as these two are swinging. And so, yeah, we're even just getting, you know, it's just a bit off. You can see we swing there just as this cam comes down. And now Newzera is even going to take the time as his teammate is dying here to check the cam and ping out one player, but it's too late. They all die, and Jamppi manages to get one of two aces he would get in 3v5s. Okay, now on to round number 5. And you know what? This round doesn't actually start off too bad overall. They go for this kind of 2-2-1 split this time. But we'll see in just a second. Shin's going to send up the Dizzy just here. It's going to actually tag safe, and it's going to force him off, right? So they force the op off its initial angle. And, you know, that's a bit of a win there for Karmine. And they come and, you know, take this control here in mid. And these two have managed to cross on A as well with the cages. So, you know, we got some A control. Problem is that these guys are going to come in, right? And we've, you know, got a bit of A control here. We've got this mid control as well, right? I mean, this all looks good. Problem is that Newzera here on Breach is just going to sit here for like ever and, you know, just sit here whilst, you know, we think, you know, we got a minute left in this round. We're in a decent spot. The spike is still over here though, and he's just sitting here, right? Like, what? And again, we started off with two players defaulting over to this side, and you would think that, you know, they know that they're going to come up ramp. So you'd think that the spike might be over towards A with that in mind, but it's not. And so what happens is he's just staying here forever. He eventually collects the spike, and these guys now just kind of have to sit and wait as the dog comes out from Team Liquid and does get destroyed. And, you know, he eventually starts walking across it. Again, I'm not fully sure why he's walking at this point, because they have this control. They even have this pretty aggressive trip here as well. So, you know, they know that no one's come this way on them. And, you know, they've got all this control here. So I don't really know what he's waiting for here. But he's just going to slowly, like a snail, you know, come round. And what this means is as the Dizzy starts to come in and you know, these guys start to, you know, get ready to maybe hit the site, you know, we're still waiting for the Breach. And by the way, our Breach has ult here. Newzera has ult as well. And I thought, well, this is like, you're not going to get a better chance to use it than this, right? Like, I mean, you're perfectly set up here. You know, you've got this trip here. So, you know, should know that this is clear, right? To just come up to this and just ult. Right? Right? You'd think, maybe, you know, your teammates are in a good position to play off that ult, right? They'll probably see this guy jumping up into the sky. But no, they wait forever, and they continue to wait forever as this Sage Slow comes in. Soulcast manages to get a kill, and now they do a slow site exec into 4 people. I mean, again, with 19 seconds left, this Breach still has the spike. Don't forget that, right? 19 seconds left. He's still not through this smoke in main. Okay, Soulcast hits a kind of crazy shot there. That's maybe a bit unfortunate, but they just, like, basically waited until they lost this round. Essentially, as far as I can tell. Everything they did at the start of the round was perfectly fine. They were set up for a great round. And then they just waited so long until that was no longer the case. And we ended up with this situation where everyone dies and, you know, they don't even touch the site, basically. But now let's come to round 7, which honestly might be the worst of all of them. It starts off perfectly normally, and again, they go for this 1-3-1 default, and a flash comes out here towards Newzera. And this is really where we are going to be focusing, because this flash, okay, yeah, it's a bit of a flash, but you'd think, like, you know, he's just gonna, you know, post up here, whatever, see if there's any more aggression, hold this angle, right, and just be there whilst, you know, the rest of his team come and take mid, and if he sees any more aggression or anything like that, you know, you can calm that, you know, go and take space elsewhere, all of that good stuff, right? But no, he decides to come back here and then just decides to run away and leave the spike. And I don't really know why. And then he decides, oh no, I need to come back. But then starts jumping. Okay, he jump peek once just to see if anyone's there. And you'd expect, okay, now just go and hold this angle. But no, continues to jump peek. And actually, you know, Team Liquid ping this out because they can hear him jump peeking there. And yeah, the rest of the team's just off doing their thing, whatever, right? But he's just out here, and, you know, he's the one who's meant to come and collect the spike and then slowly walk over towards A, probably, I guess is probably what the call is, because Shin's coming over towards A. The problem is, he can't get the spike, right? So he sees the op shot and then just decides to abandon it, right? And just abandons the spike, essentially. And so Jamppi just starts walking out. And I'm sure Jamppi couldn't believe his luck as they just leave the spike for him. And you'd think when this breach gets pushed off this angle, okay, if he's not going to be holding this angle or whatever, you'd think panic stations would be going off and these guys would be sprinting back here, you know, just to make sure that they can collect the spike and go about their round. Nope. I mean, the fact that this could happen in any game. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? The Sage Wall goes up in heaven here. These two go and try and destroy a part of it. Have you ever seen a map that looks like this in a pro game? I honestly can't remember a map that looks like this. In fact, if I just showed you this screenshot, it wouldn't make any sense. Right? You'd probably think, what? Why is the spike here? If you showed someone this out of context, you'd think, how can this ever be the case? How is this sky here? With 54 seconds left in the round. It doesn't make any sense, this screenshot of the map. It's indescribable, this round. And so then, obviously, Jamppi gets his 2 free kills. And, yeah, I'm sure the Team Liquid were like, what is going on? I'm sure Jamppi was thinking, like, what is going on? And so then they just save. Because they don't have any control of where they left the spike. Remember, this is a choice. The spike did not start here. This was a choice by them to leave it here. And then let Team Liquid walk all the way up here and just take it. Off of one flash, essentially. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure there is anything to say. And so they just save. And they're already 6-0 down at this point. And yeah, this was not great. And then to top it off, Shin even dies at the end there as well. And yeah, this I think was probably the lowest of the low. And then let's finish with round number 9. And this was actually probably their best chance of winning a round. Probably because they just kept it a lot more simple. They don't even bother with A. They say, we're coming towards B and we don't care. We've got ults. We get the camera up here in B main. That's checking that for them. They're going to come in towards mid here. They're going to, you know, send in the wingman, send in the boombot, clear out all of mid. And they're going to hear this Sage Rule in just a second from Soulcast there. You see they start pinging it out. And so they go, okay, we'll take advantage of that. We'll take this control. Okay, the dog comes out over towards A. And this is something that they did get punished for, you know, quite a bit with Nats able to do this trip, right? Punishing the fact that no one is out towards A. Honestly, I don't care. They have ults. They set up for a nice position here in B main. They come in, right? And they're going to throw a nade and Screams to go like, okay, you guys destroy the wall. I'll throw a nade and then we'll go, right? And so as soon as we start hitting this wall, that's when we're ready to send it. And so what we get is they start shooting, they send in the nade, they're going to send in this Astro Wall, and they're going to send in the breach ult towards site as well with the B main control they've got. They push off Soulcast with the nade, they raise ult onto the site. Like, this is actually legitimately pretty good, and Scream manages to kill Redguard just there. They start to come in onto the site. They're going to manage to kill Safe here in just a second as well, just there. And so now Newzera is going to use his Cypher ult as well. And unfortunately for them, though, XMS, and I have no idea why he does this, because they've come for this B split, right? And there's 4 people cascading from 2 different angles onto the site, onto breach stunned and, you know, damaged opponents from the raise ult. And, you know, they're coming in from 2 different directions, and it should be very, very difficult for these guys to hold the site. He decides to leave Heaven, right? Normally, you would have someone, you know, checking this, right? Making sure, or at least, you know, combating this in some kind of way, to make sure it's difficult for these guys to, you know, get out, essentially. Yes, there is the risk that someone could come this way, and yes, you haven't, you know, had much going on towards the A site, I can understand. But still, it's going to cost him this round, because he dies to Jamppi there as he's falling, essentially. Okay, Yampi's going to hit a really nice shot, there's just there, but they actually get the Cypher ult, so they know where these guys are as well now. So we're in this 3v3. They've just had their own Cypher ult, have Karmine Core, but now we're going to get Nats's Cypher ult. So now Team Liquid know where they are. Shin starts to get pinged by this. I mean, he decides after, you know, when this Cypher ult is going off, to, you know, he's going to get pinged by this multiple times, just there where he is, and no one's holding for him, and so Jamppi just walks down and has a free one on Shin. Then Newzera decides to flash this wall instead of just the box. I don't really know why, because, I mean, it barely hits both of them. And so, yeah, Jamppi doesn't really get hit by the flash at all. He comes and swings on Newzera there, and Scream dies as well. And Jamppi manages to get his 2nd ace in a 3v5. I mean, unreal stuff. And yeah, Karmine Core, just a lack of confidence in each other, a lack of self-confidence to win any fights, you know, and just a mess. And I think going forward for Karmine Core, if I was their coach, I'd just be, you know, keeping it very simple. Whatever comp we think we can just hit sites with, that's what we're going to do on our attack sites. We're just going to hit sites. You know, we're just going to go back to the very basics. How are our site execs? And, you know, if it needs play double duelist, whatever, don't care. That's what we're going to go to, because clearly this isn't working.